So how's the presidency going, Mr. Biden? Congress is playing baseball. The president is getting booed. Welcome back to hour 2 of our program. John Bachman here with you. It's 1 o'clock here on the East Coast, 10 a.m. out west. The Biden presidency, the Democrat agenda on the brink of collapse at this hour. Moderate Democrats Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, they are holding the line on what we call the big effing deal. They are still promising to vote no on President Biden's $3.5 trillion spending package. This is the House is set to vote on a $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure deal, but that has stalled out. Bill Senator Bernie Sanders wants his progressives to sit out.
The bipartisan infrastructure bill will not succeed. And that's what I think is the right thing, and I support the progressives in the House for doing that.
Don't get everything we want. We're going to take our ball and go home. That's basically what Bernie Sanders is saying. Now, Nancy Pelosi says things are moving ahead, but are they really? Well, maybe when it comes to keeping the government open for another couple months, but that's still kind of in jeopardy. The Senate is debating a short-term funding bill right now, but the president's plans to completely overhaul the government obviously still in jeopardy. And let's welcome in now host of the Rubin Report, Dave Rubin, author of the new book, Don't Burn This Country. And Dave, you don't have to burn it down. It might just burn down by itself with the way things are going. At least nobody was saying the F word at the Congressional Baseball game last night, I guess.
Well, we only had a small amount of video there, so I suspect some F-bombs might have been thrown Joe Biden's way. Look, as far as the government shutdown, at this point, if you are an American in 2021, after 2 years of COVID and lockdowns and mandates and now putting healthcare workers out of jobs if they don't want to get vaccinated and everything else, if your conclusion is that the government should have more money, that the government should have more big programs, that the government should have more power over your life, well, then I would like to sell you a bridge to nowhere. This is completely ridiculous. If the government shuts down, that's fine with me. I don't think they need to come back. What are these people doing for us other than taking our money, putting out these ridiculous programs? And yeah, if Bernie's not happy, let Bernie walk. We should be giving more money to people. We should be not giving more money to people. We should be allowing people to keep their money in the first place. And the idea that they're just going to keep coming and taking, it's like, thank God for Sinema and Manchin. It doesn't even matter what's in the package.
Right, it doesn't.
The idea that we have the money in the first place, we don't have it, which is why they keep telling us it's zero while they're all flashing their white power sign, right? When we do it, it's white power. When they do it, it's zero, right?
That's right.
Biden did it yesterday, and Pelosi did it and everything else. But they're literally telling us that a bill of $3.5 trillion is zero. And it's like, yeah, you know, if you kept telling people that 2 + 2 = 5, then suddenly 3.5 does equal 0, I suppose.
That is the new, actually, that's the new critical race theory math, I'm being told.
Yeah,
2 + 2 = 5.
Exactly. Well, what they're saying, because what they're saying is that 3.5 trillion, if you just tax rich people and corporations enough, it won't add to the deficit. But that doesn't make it zero. You're still stealing and taking money from those who produce to pay for your pet projects. And again, I just can't imagine being in the shoes of somebody who would be sitting here in America today saying, yes, we just have to give them more money, thus they can fix things. It's all theater, that man watching, wearing a mask right there. It's theater.
Is that even the real Oval Office? We always have to ask these questions now based on what we saw. We'll talk about that in a second, though. But you talked about the power structure here and, you know, this desire to always have one more way to kind of stick it to you. You know, if you read the fine print of the bill, a lot of folks have done this, thankfully. On page 168, there is a plan to charge or fine businesses $700,000 if they have employees who don't follow through with a vaccine mandate. We don't even know if these vaccine mandates from the federal government are legal yet, and they're folding this stuff into this $3.5 trillion bill. I mean, it's ridiculous.
John, America is under assault from our elites and Democratic politicians. It's that simple. And maybe Republicans are involved in it too at this point, but I would say it's mostly generated by the far left, the elite, the media. It's fueled by big tech. What right would I have? I own a production company. I employ several full-timers, several part-timers. What right would I have as an employer of these people to say to them, you must be injected by something, otherwise I'm going to fire you. I don't own these people. I thought we were against slavery. I believe that they can make the correct medical decisions for themselves, hopefully in conjunction with their doctors and their family, and take into consideration their own health and whatever else is going on with them. But the idea that they're pushing this in a $3.5 trillion spending deal, it's like, no, let people go back to work, unleash the economy. But that's not what they want. No. They want us all to be dependent on the state. I mean, it's really true. It sounds alarmist and crazy at some level, but you know, it was first democratic socialism, then they kind of admitted they're socialist, and we're really ramping it up to like full communism right now.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, pedal to the metal. And you know, the other thing too, and I tell folks, don't get bogged down in $1 trillion here, $3.5 trillion there, debt limit. What we have learned this week is that the only thing unifying Democrats was the money in this bill that was promised as handouts, as favors, as bribes, if you will. That's the Democratic Party for you. They have no clear objective other than power, perhaps. The money, the special projects, that was the unity, Dave. That's the only thing that holds these folks together.
John, that's a great point, and that's something that I think people on our side, let's say, have to really drive home. These people have no ideas that are congruent with human flourishing, with the idea that you are put on this earth and you can figure out what to do, and you can hopefully build a business and find someone you love and create a family and own property and hand it down to your children and build something that will be sustainable and generational and truly what the human experience is all about. All they've got is give us more money, give us more power, and we'll lock you in the basement and put a mask on you and tell you what you can eat. And by the way, soon it'll be bugs.
Bugs. I hear bugs are big in some parts of the world, the new protein.
Little sriracha, they're not terrible, but you know.
I had some bugs in Mexico one time. We won't talk about that right now, but I want to talk about the NBA, you know, because it was interesting. Everyone kind of, you know, who's in tune knows why the NBA did not put a mandatory vaccine mandate in like other leagues have, because of, you know, what we know, Dave, the evidence bears this out. The black community, they're not on board with these vaccine mandates either, even though the media has tried to portray rural white Americans, Trump supporters, as the ones holding things up. But Jonathan Isaac is a hero to a lot of folks because he just really put it out there, spoke about vaccines, why he's not getting one, why other folks should if they feel comfortable with it. I want to focus on this because this is how this conversation should go and should have been going. Here he is.
I understand that the vaccine would help if you catch COVID, and you'll be able to have less symptoms from contracting it. But with me having COVID in the past and having antibodies with my current age group and physical fitness level, it's not necessarily a fear of mine. But at the end of the day, I don't feel that it is anyone's reason to come out and say, well, this is why or this is not why. It should just be their decision. And loving your neighbors, not just loving those that agree with you or look like you or move in the same way that you do. It's loving those who don't.
You know, Jonathan Isaac said it better than I think a lot of us who've been trying to say the same thing. If you want to get vaccinated, get vaccinated. The evidence shows there are benefits to getting vaccinated. But if you don't want to get vaccinated, and you're like this guy, physically fit, in the right age group, doesn't have pre-existing conditions, has COVID already or had it before and has the antibodies, you know, he should be the spokesperson for COVID. He's a lot more effective communicator than a lot of these public health officials.
Well, John, it's not only everything he said there that you just repeated, but it's that listen to the tone. Listen to the tone. He's not trying to control people. Right. He's saying, I'm allowed to ask questions. This is what I've been through. I am of this age and this health. You should do what's best for you. It's the most calm, rational way of discussing any of this. You know, we played this clip yesterday on my show, and I juxtaposed it with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who, of course, was a basketball player, 30, 40 years ago. And he basically was saying that every NBA player must get vaccinated. And in essence, he was saying, otherwise, they're evil. That's basically what he said.
That's their argument.
By the way, John, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, during the riots, the race riots that we were having all last summer, he was all for people being out there and rioting because, that was for social justice. So in that case, you can be outside coughing all over each other, sweating all over each other, patting each other on the back. But when you have the elite athletes of the world, the people who are truly in the best condition, who are the youngest, who, as Isaac said, has already had COVID, has immunities. Now he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
And this is just such a perfect example of why our dialogue in this country is so screwed up. What happened to personal choice? What happened to individual rights, your own capacity to make decisions for yourself? That's the stuff I want to get back to. But we are fighting something that is just, as you said before, it's escalating. It's getting worse. And maybe, here's a little silver lining. I know I've been a little dark this morning. Maybe the silver lining is it's escalating and getting crazier because it's running out of room. It's running out of air. It's so hysterical. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe. The darkest point is right before the dawn. And I will say this about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He has never been the same ever since he left basketball to become a pilot. You know, you get that joke. I don't know how many people will, but that...
he had the fish. He had the fish, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Real quickly, too, another thing I wanted to ask you about, why is Joe Biden so hairy, and why do we have to see this, Dave? I saw the video.
Do you have some pictures for us?
No, we're not going to. Oh, we're out. Okay, we're not going to show the pictures. We're trying to work around this. You know, a lot of folks were watching this. They were tweeting me on the air. No, get the close-up shot. We want to make sure he's getting the vaccine. We don't. And I was like, you don't want to see the close-up shot. Nobody needs to see the close-up shot.
Listen, if you want to see the close-up shot, I would just recommend watching 1985 Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox. And the first time he turns into the wolf, that's Joe Biden's arm. Is that a side effect of the COVID vaccine? I don't know, but I think we just handed Media Matters their clip of Newsmax and Dave Rubin and John Bachman today, as they will put this out and say we're spreading misinformation, that the vaccine can turn you into a werewolf.
Headline, Newsmax anchor says COVID vaccine causes werewolf syndrome, which we didn't actually say. It's just a joke, of course. Teen Wolf, great movie, too, by the way. Great, great flick. Dave,
indeed.
Great to see you as always.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.